Hi, this is Trey Pastor. Welcome to the Horoscope 101 channel. It's Saturday, so it's my day. And the movie that I'm reviewing for this week, and this week is independent horror, the best of independent horror. And the movie that I'm reviewing is a movie that I've never seen before. I heard a lot of great things about this, but I never saw it before. I actually bought this movie, I think, about 2 weeks ago. So this gave me a chance to watch it for the first time. It's a bit of a cult film. But I heard nothing but great things about it. This is 1985's Re-Animator, starring Jeffrey Combs. It's based on the H.P. Lovecraft story, and it also stars Jeffrey Combs, of course, is Dr. Herbert West. That's him right there. And then you have Bruce Abbott as Dr. Dan Kane. Then you have Barbara Crampton as Megan Halsey. His I guess you would say his fiance of Dan, Bruce Abbott's character, Dan Kane. Then you have David Gale as Dr. Carl Hill, a teacher and a famous surgeon at the hospital where Dan Kane and Herbert West works. And then you have Robert Sampson as Dean Housley, Megan's father, and the head of the department there. And this is I guess would be called a horror comedy with a little bit of romance in there. Okay, like I said, this movie has a bit of a cult reputation, and has a good reputation. And after watching it, I can definitely see why. And basically, the story is basically about Dr. Herbert West's character, played by the great Jeffrey Combs, who gives a great performance in this movie. He's basically like a student who's a big. He's basically trying to find. He's studying. Let's see. I think it's the effect of brain death. He wants to see about reanimating creature. He basically comes up with his own formula to reanimate things. And he starts, of course. At the beginning of the movie, they show him, studying with Dr. Hans Gruber, who's supposed to be his mentor. Okay, and there's an incident which I don't want to spoil. Okay. Between him and his mentor, which kind of results in a funny thing, and then they fast forward a little later into the movie, after that opening, and you see Dr. Herbert West coming to New England at this university university hospital to study there, and he moves in actually because Dan Kane, is looking for a roommate. And he works at the hospital also as a fellow student, doctor. So he moves in with him, and he immediately begins, and he has a kind of he kind of has an adversarial relationship with one of the teachers at Dr. Carl Hill, played by David Gale, who's like the I guess a teacher at the university hospital. He has a kind of, because he feels that Dr. Carl Hill, stole from his mentor, Dr. Hans Gruber, about theory about brain death. So, Herbert West is basically experimenting on creatures and stuff in the basement of the apartment where him and Dan Kane live. And of course, Dan Kane discovers one day that his cat is dead, and that Herbert West has been experimenting with this mysterious green reanimation concoction, to bring dead things back to life. Okay, and of course, his girlfriend Megan immediately she feels that Herbert West is especially creepy, and you can tell Jeffrey Combs plays Herbert West is he's like really strange and eccentric, and just has this intensity about him that's just incredible. And then later, after he kind of shows Dan Kane his experiments, Herbert West, they team up and they start basically experimenting on human corpses because Dan Kane works in the morgue with the body, so they sneak in and start experimenting. And in the course of that, one of their experiments, bizarre things they start experimenting on corpses actually, and something bizarre happens. Okay, and basically they reanimate a dead corpse. Okay, and like I said, this movie is just surreal, and I can see why it has the cult following it has because, like, first of all, because Jeffrey Combs' performance as Herbert West is just is a mixture of intensity and humor and this bizarreness that happens. And once they start experimenting on on the dead corpse, all these strange things that happen, which I don't want to spoil. Okay, but let's just say there's two relationships in this movie that are really intense. Like, Dr. Herbert West and Dr. Carl Hill, facility, doctor, they have a kind of, like I said, adversarial relationship because, Herbert West feels that Dr. Carl Hill doesn't know what he's doing, that, he stole his ideas from his mentor, Dr. Hans Gruber, and so they kind of clash. They show a scene where they kind of clash in the classroom and stuff, and of course there's another scene later in the movie where they kind of confront each other, and something happens which kind of sets up the rest of the movie, which I don't want to spoil. Okay, and so basically you have two protagonists, antagonists in the movie. Dr. Herbert West and his bizarre need to try to prove his theory, and he really goes and does whatever he has to do, and he kind of has this kind of weird kind of charisma, which kind of drags Dan Kane in with him to do this stuff, and of course all the repercussions that happen from that when they start experimenting on actually creatures. And like I said, the special effects. This movie is made, I think, for only like $900,000, and so you can see it's kind of it's low budget, but it's a great what they do with the effects and stuff are really great, and bringing the corpse back to life and stuff, and all the bizarre things that happen after this. And like I said, it has a great mix of comedy along with the horror and some pretty intense gore, especially towards the later part of the movie. And it's just a great blend of, and it also, just so for people that want to know, there is a bit of nudity in the movie. At some points, kind of, you had not just regular, a quick flash of nudity. There's kind of a scene towards the end of the movie, just so you can be forewarned for those who haven't seen the movie. There's a bit of intense nudity towards the later part of the movie, which is just, it was kind of, it's anything but erotic. Let's put it that way. Okay, so but definitely this movie is, and I definitely want to see the Bride of Re-Animator, which I think there's two sequels actually to this movie. There's Bride of Re-Animator, and I think there's I forgot what the other one is. But I want to see Bride of Re-Animator because Jeffrey Combs, like I said, he makes the movie with his character Herbert West is just really intense and creepy, and also at the same time he plays it with a kind of plays with a dark sense of humor that it has in it. And so I want to definitely see Bride of Re-Animator just to see him again. And I know there's another sequel. I forgot what that one's called after the Bride of Re-Animator. And then I think there was supposed to be a fourth movie, but I don't think they ever made it. I think they were supposed to make it, but I don't think it got made yet. Anyway, like I said, this is definitely a great example of low-budget horror and what you could do with low budget, but they still make it an intense and a really actually quite interesting story. Actually, with a good mix of horror and like I said, toward later part of the movie, a nice amount of gore. And like I said, Jeffrey Combs' character, Herbert West, and Dr. Dr. Carl Hill, they're the kind of they're the ones that they kind of clash together. Those are the two main, I guess you'd say, I wouldn't say main characters that kind of clash in the movie. Okay, with Dr. Dan Kane, I guess he would be considered the good guy in the movie. Okay, even though he goes along with Herbert West, so I don't know how much of a good guy he really is. And then you have Megan, his girlfriend, played by Barbara Crampton, who, like I said, she's the one that has the nudity, just for you don't want to know. And she's plays a concerned girlfriend, of course, who's worried about her boyfriend, Dr. Dan Kane, who, who's his creepy roommate, Herbert West, which she instantly doesn't like. Okay, and also her father plays a big part in this movie too, without spoiling. And you have to see this movie. It's just surreal. Like I said, I think it's 86 minutes, but it's a really, really intense movie. But it's a good movie. I would give this movie, if I was to rate this, I would give this a 7.5, just because I think Jeffrey Combs is just great in this, and also David Gale, who plays Dr. Carl Hill. Okay, he's really intense and creepy also. Okay, so I think between those two guys, okay, they make the movie, and especially their relationship with each other makes the movie. So that's my choice for independent horror, best of independent horror. Okay, so let me know what you think. If you've seen it, like I said, I know a lot. This is a cult film, and I know a lot of people have seen this. So that's not really new, but it's the first time that I've seen it. So, and I really, really enjoyed it for what it is. It's just a great, intense horror slash comedy with a good amount of gore and nudity, and definitely I want to see Bride of Re-Animator just to see, because it continues on with Jeffrey Combs' character, and so I just want to see where it goes after this, because this is just an intense and definitely totally worth having. Definitely a best of the independent horror. Okay, so let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. And this is Trey Passer for the Horoscope 101 channel. Let me know what you think, and tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow is Claire's Day on Independent Horror. Sunday, that'll be her day, so tune in for that. I'm sure she'll have something great to review. So let me know what you think. Feel free to leave comments down below. And this is Trey Passer saying so long and take care.